Hello and welcome to Fantasy Friendship. I'm your host, Steven Alonich, joined today by absolutely nobody, which I hope is not the case going forward. This episode is just going to be an introduction to what this podcast is going to be about. We already have one episode recorded. It's about two of my friends and myself going into the mountains for a backpacking adventure that we absolutely were not prepared for. Had some pretty unlucky breaks to start it off, got us in a little bit of danger, and then had some bizarre luck there on out. So go ahead, give that one a listen. One of my favorite stories I have in my bank. It is just ridiculous, the things that first went wrong and then went completely right in order for us to get home safe. And that's what this podcast is really going to be about. It's going to be about me and my friends and some of our wacky adventures. We're a little more bizarre, you might say, than most friend groups. We're really not afraid to go on an adventure or talk to a stranger. That'll become pretty evident when you hear the story about a couple of us meeting some homeless guys off the side of some train tracks, enjoying beers and talking all night. Or the story of one of my friends climbing Molecule Man, who's a giant wrestling statue in our hometown. Or the story about one of my friends faking his own death, which should not go over well with a lot of people. We'll talk about bad Tinder dates, bad roommates. Some of my former coworkers and I will get in the show and tell you what it's like to work at a newspaper nowadays and how unbelievably low the threshold is for death threats. And the point of this isn't really to take off as a widely downloaded and listened to podcast. If that happens, awesome. That'd be great. But it's more of a way just to chronicle our stories. You know, as we get older, these memories are harder to keep track of, harder to reminisce about. And I think this show will provide a good chance for a lot of us to, go back and listen. And when we're living in different towns and we're not seeing each other as often, we can go back and when we're telling someone else the story, say, hey, listen to this podcast. This is what happened. And it also eliminates any chance for future arguments about exaggerations or missed details because we will have it right here when it was fresh in our memory. And lastly, I want the show to be a way for people other than myself to have a platform to share some of their wackiest happenings, whether I'm involved or not. If you think that's you, give me a call, message me on Facebook, whatever your preference is. I'll listen. Tell me the story, and I'd love to get you on the show. That said, the page is called Fantasy Friendship on Facebook. My Twitter is @ThanksSteven. Give us a rating on iTunes or Spotify, whatever your podcasting network of choice is. And actually give me some feedback. Am I breathing too heavy? Am I popping my peas? Am I doing something that's irritating you? Let me know. I want to get better at this. I'm open to all constructive criticism, and I would appreciate that feedback. And remember, the next episode about the mountain trip is already downloaded. Go ahead and give that a listen to find out how I almost died in the mountains. Thank you for listening.